you tired of the typical libraries with conventional music that makes you feel meh? Introducing Leerecs.com, the music website made for and by minds like you. Our team are lifelong musicians and producers in love with music. Search the Leerecs music catalogs and find music with guaranteed originality. Mark the difference with music of signature at Leerecs.com.
Just like that, it's almost like magic. Amazing, amazing. This is what music does. It takes you to fantastic places. These artists today and I have many things in common. At least our icons. Both admire tremendously all of the artists from Candy Rat. Fingerstyle, guitar. I have listened to all of that music for years from the very, very beginning, and we have an artist that is continuing with these inheritance in making it bigger and taking it to higher places. We have Alexandr Misko. Hi, Alex.
Hey Anton, and thank you for having me here tonight or today, whatever time it is. And really happy to be at your show, at your podcast here, and looking forward to a great talk.
Likewise. Alex is a fantastic music. This song we listen to is back and forth, and it is incredible. I mean, I'll let you take the floor, please, and introduce yourself and your music.
Yes, sure. Thank you. For those of you guys who hear this name for the first time, it's my name. It's Alexandr Misko, but you can just call me Alex Misko. It's a little bit easier. And I'm a musician. I'm a composer, arranger, teacher, touring artist, and whatnot from Russia. And I'm mostly doing fingerstyle guitar music. As I said, composing, arranging, touring around the world, playing my music to audiences all over the place, and being happy doing this. And also at the same time, I'm doing lots of social media stuff. So if you like the song that you were listening, I got lots of similar stuff and also stuff that's totally different from that. So there could be lots of surprises for you as well. And you can find me anywhere on social media. I'm available, and also I'm happy to get in touch if any of you would be having any questions. So I'm easily reachable on social media, and looking forward to get connected.
Fantastic. It's incredible. I mean, I feel like you are tremendously reachable. That is so important. It's incredible how the best and most talented usually are the humblest people and the easiest to talk with. It's incredible. Look, you told me you're really, really young, but you have so many records already. Why don't you talk about your trajectory?
Yeah, sure. And thank you so much for your kind words, Antoine. I'm, not super young anymore. I'm getting older with every year. I'm 24 already. And but I recorded my first album when I was, I think I was 18. And it was during the very first year of my university studies. And I always been approaching the music just as a hobby. I never thought that I would become a professional musician, and that's why I was studying linguistics at the university. So I'm not even a musician. Officially, I'm not even a musician. But during my university studies, things started to happen a lot. My videos started to go viral, and I eventually got this opportunity to tour. I started to get offers. I started to get invitations, and here we are now. And throughout all this time, I've always been recording music. I've always been passionate about composing original guitar music, using all these extended techniques, all these weird things that you can do on a guitar. And for those of you guys who don't know exactly what fingerstyle guitar is, it's a pretty new way of playing the guitar, which is kind of takes pieces of stuff from everywhere. It has no rules. It has no particular way of studying this stuff. So nobody's teaching you that, like officially at the university or the music school. And eventually everybody finds their own way, their own approach, and just goes with it and keeps exploring that. And eventually it can get you to some really unpredictable and cool things that people wouldn't be even like realizing that it's one guitar it's being played. But just to like explain it pretty shortly how it works, basically this whole idea of this whole style, and this is a style, this is not a genre, because it's just a huge array of techniques that you can use on the guitar to achieve some specific musical goals. And the idea is that you imitate the whole band on one guitar. So you have drums, you have bass, you have melodies, you have second guitars, but the whole idea is that most of the time you produce all the sounds at the same time by using fancy, cool, unorthodox techniques, additional necks, additional guitars. Sometimes people play 2 or 3 guitars simultaneously, and on top of that you can use all sorts of effects. You can add pedals, like guitar pedals. You can add live looping on top of everything. You can use foreign objects. I use a chopstick, for example, as a bow, so I can bow my guitar and to produce some nice violin or cello effects. And basically, the whole idea is that there are no limits, and this is the coolest thing about this style. Whatever you would be doing, as long as it's musical, as long as you believe in it, as long as it makes sense to you, it's all worth it. And that's what I've been doing. That's what all my music is about. And now I'm mostly into collaborations with other musicians, because it feels like, it's getting harder and harder to push these boundaries, and also because I composed so much music already. So I just always looking for new ways of expressing myself. Maybe I'm going to be trying rapping, maybe I would be trying vocals or something, but the whole idea is that you always want to stay creative, you always want to keep things interesting for yourself. That's the most important thing. So as soon as you get bored, all that stops making any sense. So I'm always looking for new exciting things that I can apply, or that I can how I can get myself out of this comfort zone.
Incredible. This, as we spoke before, we have, I told you that I was really inspired when I discovered Candy Rat and all of their artists. I so much enjoyed Drifting. That was the first song that I discovered, and I'm a big fan of Antoine Dufour. I love it. But were you playing guitar already before you discovered those artists? How did it change your style? How did you, all of these foreign techniques, different ways to achieve that particular sound, is that something that you were like looking at them, trying to figure it out how it works? How was that discovery stage for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. And for those of you guys who don't know what drifting we're talking about, this is a song by Andy McKee. It's one of the fingerstyle legends, and it's one of his the most famous songs that actually was becoming viral on YouTube in the very beginnings of YouTube in 2005 and 2006. So basically, him playing in the studio with that video got viral, and it was on the front page of YouTube all over the world, because YouTube back then was totally different. It was one front page for all the countries. So can you just imagine, a guitar video starts to go viral and being on the front page on YouTube in all the countries, not specifically on the front page that is made for you, like YouTube is doing now, just according to your interests, but the same video for everybody. And that's why it has become such a unique like huge thing for the whole guitar world and even for the whole music world. So it was a really big thing. And to me, like the whole process of being inspired of all these guys, it has become it started to be a thing to me a bit later, because as I said, when I was younger, when I was like a kid, I was mostly into rap, and I'm still into rap. So basically, my biggest inspirations are West Coast and East Coast rappers from '90s, like Tupac, Exhibit, Nas, Notorious B.I.G., and all the gangster stuff. So yeah, I was listening to that.
Too, yeah.
I was listening a lot to that when I was a kid, like when I was like 8, 7. I didn't even understood. I wasn't understanding what they were talking about, of course. But there's some particular energy in all the songs that still makes you listen to them, like Eminem stuff or whatever. Because that's the coolest thing about music. Even if you don't understand the language, there's still something that makes you listen to it. Even though this music is based around the language almost completely, there is barely any music is happening, right? It's all about lyrics, but still. When I was a kid, I was so fascinated by that. And of course, then I got to know what they're rapping about. And I was like, well, I had to accept that one, because somehow I was thinking they're talking about rainbows and like some love and whatever. But they were not really rapping about love and rainbows. But still, like it's a very big thing to me. And then I was just doing nothing. I was going to school, playing video games. And then my parents, probably they could see that I'm interested in music to some extent, but my parents are both not musical at all. They were doing like something totally different, and they presented me my first classical guitar when I was 12 or 13, and I instantly went to the private tutor, and I was studying there for 3 years, just playing classical etudes, simple arrangements, and everything. And since it was a private tutor, thankfully we could be doing not only classical stuff, but as I said, arrangements of Beatles, of Red Hot Chili Peppers, or whatever. So basically, I was already expanding my musical vocabulary by playing not only classical music, but something modern that I really wanted to play, like riffs and stuff. And then, but I was never really taking that too seriously. I was never like really crazy passionate about it. It was just fun. It was okay, but I definitely wasn't a good student, like perfect student. But then I accidentally stumbled across Don Ross somewhere, and Don Ross is actually even more like legendary than Andy McKee, because he was actually the teacher of Andy McKee and Antoine Dufour. So he's like the OG, right? The original gangster of the style. And he's the real legend. And I instantly got hooked. Like there was something in his music that it seems I needed in my life back then. Like 3-4 minute long pieces of music, original pieces of music with fancy techniques, but not too fancy, very groovy, very like, how do you say, very well built, thoughtful, but at the same time very accessible and melodic. And I just couldn't stop listening to that. It was so fascinating. And I was buying tablatures from his website. I was like learning the songs, and I could just spend 8 hours a day just being inspired by the fact that, okay, this is the song I just got to listen. I liked it. I wanted to play this one. And then I was sitting with the guitar for 8 hours. And by the end of the day, I was like, okay, I can do something. I can play the first riff of the song, and it sounds more or less like an original. And I was like, wow, that was like the most inspiring thing ever. And that's how it all started. And then through Don Ross, I got to know about Candy Rat, about Andy McKee, about all the other guys. And like I was learning music of hundreds of fingerstyle players before I started to take my music seriously, before I got to be confident about my music, and especially with sharing my music with the world. But yeah, I think I learned hundreds of songs by all these guys, and eventually it left a huge mark on my writing, on my perception of the music. So I think I'm more or less following their tradition of writing music, and I'm also keeping this tradition going within my music, because their way of writing, their approach to music is engraved in what I'm doing.
I agree. I think you very much keep the secret recipe, really. Those songs from these composers that you mentioned are really, really captivating, and I think they do a very good job transporting you, like letting your imagination free. I remember listening to this music and really feeling very inspired, and it does the best job doing that.
Yeah, and what I also like about it is that it's very, how to say, forward looking as well. It's very innovative in everything what they were doing. At the same time, it still can be considered a pop music from the world of instrumental music, but it's still not as simple and not as like cheesy or whatever. So it's like, I think it's a perfect balance between something that's too simple and something that's overly complicated. So, and I think those guys were finding this exact sweet spot. That's why it was interesting and exciting to listen to, not only to guitar nerds like me, but also to like people who were just excited by the by the capabilities of the guitar, but by what these people could be getting out of the guitar in terms of the music, not in terms of the amount of techniques that you could put like within 1 second of playing, but more about the music and the melodies and the catchiness of the music. And I think that's exactly what we all as composers, at least from my perspective, we should be striving for, to kind of compose the music in a not very accessible way, not too accessible way, but still catchy, still interesting, still something that would be captivating from the very beginning.
Yeah, and I think you do an outstanding job in that. I think it's really groovy. The style, this kind of effects that you get, with different percussion techniques is really impressive. Keep the music intelligent but also approachable. And I think, you're keeping the legacies is a very, very, very good job. And tell us more of that particular aspect. I hear certain effects that you might be using. Tell us a little bit about your particular techniques.
Yeah, sure. So basically, my approach has been changing, of course, throughout the years. And I started as a super old-fashioned, old-school guitar player who was just like not using any electronics inside of the guitar. I was like, okay, those guys were obviously just playing in front of the microphone, and I'm gonna be doing the same. No effects, no reverbs, or maybe just a couple of just a tiny bit of reverb, so it would be a little bit more like, well, how to say, just sounding a little bit bigger. But aside from that, everything should be dry. No post-production, no anything. But then I got to see other approaches of other players, how they approached, how they do the sound and arrange their sound. And I was mostly inspired by such legends as John Gum, Mike Dawes, and Petteri Sariola. And they all really big guitar players, and also some of them are singers.
They're really fantastic.
And basically they treat the guitars differently. They have all sorts of pedals, all sorts of effects happening, and I got this whole electronic approach from there. But eventually I was keep developing this approach to the extent that my guitar now just looks like an acoustic guitar just when you look at it. But in fact, there is nothing acoustic about it, because there are tons of pickups, there are tons of signals that I get from the guitar. There are like 6 different outputs from the guitar that go into my mixer, that go into all sorts of different pedals. It's like my whole setup is 30 kilos. So, I mean, I'm not sure how much it is in pounds.
About 50
around,
more or less.
Yeah, around 50. Yeah, around 50 pounds. Yeah, and it's all about pedals. It's all about my mixing desk, so I could control my sound just being there when I'm there on stage. So I'm not really dependent on the sound engineer, who obviously, even if it would be the best sound engineer in the world, he or she wouldn't be knowing how exactly I want to sound, because this type of tone is so unique for every player. And so basically, eventually, like, all you can hear on the recordings, it's not really an acoustic guitar. It's a combination of effects, of my pickups, of all sorts of fancy techniques as well. Because if I talk a lot about effects, it doesn't mean that I rely on effects a lot, because it still all should be under your fingers. You still should be working on your technique, but all the effects, they really make a huge difference in terms of the perception of the music, because the acoustic guitar turns out to be super weak instrument. It barely has any sustain. It barely has any bass. It doesn't have a built-in reverb, right? so it sounds like some guitars have this function, but for most of the guitars, let's say, they don't have all the fancy things that I hear in my head. So that's why I was experimenting with all this stuff, and eventually came to this I think, pretty unique setup of pedals, of effects, of my mixing possibilities and pickups and electronics inside of my guitar, which is also like very complicated and unique, that eventually allows me to create a huge, just bigger than the world sound, especially like if you listen to my music in headphones, or even if you just been there on like in the audience listening to me playing on stage. If there's a proper system with proper stereo system with subwoofers, you would be like amazed that this guitar can be like that. The guitar can sound like that.
Right, the way you heard it in your head when you were composing it. I wanna talk about that. First of all, and the first question I think is, and you did an awesome job describing your live performance. I think I would love, just listening to you explain it, I would love to see you performing live. With all these things, still, you're able to play all the sounds live, right?
Yeah, sure. That's the whole idea. And the whole live performance is also a very fancy thing because, when you watch like YouTube stuff from like any solo musician, it usually doesn't really, shows you everything. It's just a little part of what we're all doing, because when it comes to proper performance, it's actually much more about performance than just about playing songs. And for this particular style of playing, that also comes from all this like fingerstyle legends. There's like this particular way of doing concerts, because aside from all the fancy techniques and all the fancy electronics, usually for every song there is a different tuning. So it means that after playing each song, you have to retune your strings, and unless if you would be having 10 guitars with you on tour during the concert, you can't do that instantly. So you have to retune the strings. You have to make sure that they are more or less stretched out, so they wouldn't be going out of tune during the song when you were playing the song. So you have to talk, and that's the huge advantage. So like for example, compared to classical guitar concerts where people usually don't talk much, or they just talk in a very dry manner when they just go like, the next song is called like that and that's it. But for this whole fingerstyle type of playing, we are more singer-songwriters than in terms of genre than classical music or anything else. So that's why there's lots of talking about the songs, about life. You could be joking, you could be explaining your setup, which is also very important, because for like a person who's not a musician, or to say not a guitar nerd, all these things could be sounding so foreign. It would be so hard to believe that all these things are happening at the same time live, and it's much easier to believe that it's a playback. So that's why you have to take time to explain at first that, okay, there's this way of playing the guitar, that you you show all the sections separately. Okay, here's my bass, here's my drums, here's everything, and you combine it all together and showing people in real time that how it can be done on one guitar. And then when it comes to explaining what live looping is, you maybe do it first, and everybody is like amazed, but everybody is thinking that this is probably playback. And then you go like, okay guys, do you know what was happening? This is called live looping, and it's not about playback. I was recording myself, but I was doing it right now, and I'm gonna show you how it works now. And you start to do the same explanation, but with showing the looping. And this is a very important thing. So basically there is actually way more talking than music during the concerts. But,
it is fantastic because you get to know your stars, right? Your icons. It's beautiful. I love it. And one of the aspects I believe that is so captivating of this music is the human aspect. Is recognizing that all of this music is happening right now, and it's just one person playing. I think it's part of the magic, don't you?
Of course, and what's even more important is that it's not easy in general when you're just all alone there on stage, and you have to keep the things going dynamic, interesting for people all the time, and you can't hide behind anybody. You're not a drummer in the band. You're not a bass player who wouldn't be saying anything, because there was for example, a lead singer who would be doing all the artistic job. Artistic in terms of communicating with the people, announcing songs and whatnot. But you are there all exposed, and aside from the fact that all your mistakes would be pretty much noticeable, you're not in a thick mix of the band when everybody is playing distorted guitars, and you can like be sloppy because it wouldn't be that noticeable. But when it comes to solo guitar, even with all the effects, even with all the reverbs and delays, you have to be tight. You have to practice. And aside from playing aspect, you want to be believable. You want to be, well, looking in a way of everything what you're doing on stage aside from playing.
Yeah, definitely. I can see that. You definitely have big charisma, great personality, and you're, very interesting to discuss, to talk with. Is pretty outstanding. So, about your setup, I think you mentioned it. Your guitar looks like a regular acoustic guitar, but in reality has many gadgets and widgets and different pickups and all that.
Yeah.
So, how did you get to create that customized, perfect setup for yourself? Did you have help? You were practicing a song and were thinking, oh, maybe if I had, a bass pickup over here, I can, that's what I need. How did you do that?
Yeah, more or less it was exactly like you just described. Of course, like some things I was picking up from other people who were already doing this thing on guitar, and I knew that they sound great, that they sound way better than I ever sounded back then, because of this pickup separation. It's the thing that, well, not really new, but I think I was pretty much developing the system and evolving the system even further, because I'm using like really like way more pickups than than most of the fingerstyle players. But that's the thing, it's just because I need them. It doesn't mean that everybody should be using that. It's not like because this is the new standard that I'm trying to set or anything. It's just because, well, I'm weird and I need that. But I'm really excited about that, and because the whole idea how it was eventually is that, as I was talking about, this magnetic pickup that works only on your strings, that picks up only the strings, it gives you clarity. It gives some more punch to techniques that are happening on the neck, especially like so-called tapping piano techniques when you just have both hands on the fretboard. And then this is like the basic thing. Then there was this kick drum pickup that also people were using for quite some time, because you want your kick drum to sound fat. And if you would be just having a microphone inside of your guitar, then it means the more low frequencies you would be adding on this microphone, the more feedback you would be getting. So you can't really make your kick drum big with a microphone. I was thinking, okay, how to make it more pronounced as well, like during the live setting, because the microphone is picking up everything, but not quite. So that's why I was putting more pickups for the right side percussion, the left side percussion, and I was panning them. So it means that when I start scratching my guitar on the right side, the sound is formed, it's being in the right speaker. Then I scratch it to get slowly, gradually moving to the center of the guitar, and that's the zone where the microphone is working. So it means that the sound is instantly in the middle. And then I go to the left side, which is panned to the left, and the sound is going to the left again. So it means that I can do like one long scratch from the right side to the middle to the left side, and you would be having this fancy stereo movement is happening in front of you. Start from the right speaker, then to the middle, and then to the left.
Wow, this is so clever, and it's like sound engineering work, post-production, all at once. Is really brilliant. Yeah.
I'm just. It's such a pity that I can't really do that in real time, showing you how exactly it works, because it's very nerdy to talk about all these things. And I think like for you guys who are like listening to us now, it would be way more obvious and evident if you could be just listening to my recent recordings, like from this year, let's say from the last year, in a good headphones or in a good system, in a good stereo system, so you would be actually noticing all these things.
So we're gonna listen to Back and Forth again, but really whoever has the opportunity to go see Alex in person, absolutely go. This sounds it's an incredible performance, something epic to really see and enjoy. And talking about that, Alex, what is your ideal future for your music, for your concerts, for your career? Can you tell us?
Yes, sure. I actually, the thing is, I'm that type of person that doesn't really like to plan big things, dream about something like crazy, like, I don't know, earning millions of dollars or anything, because it just very hardly achievable if you don't have a specific plan. So it's better to build a plan first and achieve like smaller goals. And my goals are usually very short term in a way, so I would be just knowing exactly what I'm doing this month, what I'm doing next month, what I'm doing like in half a year. But the bigger picture always stays the same, because I'm happy and I'm thankful to all the support that I have. Is just by the simple fact that I've found myself. I found what I like. I found what I think I can do good, and I can do in a good way, because of I spent lots of time on it and lots of practicing, and I'm happy that people like it too. The thing is that if people wouldn't like it at all, I would still be doing that, because, well, as long as it makes me happy, I'm gonna be doing that. And I'm just happy that because of the people, because of all the support I have, I'm able to make a living out of it. And moreover, I'm able to see the world. I'm able to expand my horizons, my mental horizons, my physical horizons as well, and it all feels very special. That's something that I just, it's not the part of the question, but that you were asking, but this is just something to always keep in mind, that you gotta stay thankful because of all the opportunities, because of everything that you have already achieved, because actually you're getting used to everything, but sometimes you keep forgetting that it's already a lot.
Keep working. I love it. So you kind of gave us a very good advice to stay thankful of the things that we have, but we always want to know and to ask everybody, if you had an advice to your younger self, what do you think that would be?
Yeah, I think, well, maybe the only thing is that I could be advising myself from, like, let's say, I don't know, 10 years ago, is to not being afraid of pursuing my real dreams, because I spent so much time doing useless stuff at the university. Instead, I could be doing something better than that, but I was just, well, never believing in myself in a way of, well, that I would be able to do music professionally, and all the things that I was telling you before in the beginning. So this is something that, well, I'm not really feel pity about, because that's the thing. What's the point of feeling pity about something that already happened? This is the part of my way, and maybe if I wouldn't be doing this, if I would be going this road, taking this road, then maybe I would be nowhere, because, well, it should have happened this way, and if not with me, then with whom? But retrospectively, I think, well, that time could be better spent, especially in the way of understanding that this is my dream. This is something that I always loved doing, and this is something that I'm still doing.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. The only way to know is to try, at least.
Exactly, yeah. And even if you fail, then, I mean, it's okay. The whole life is like consists of failures and overcomings of all these failures.
Isn't that right? Absolutely. Yeah. I guess we're just all obsessed with perfection and thinking that every time has to be right.
Or getting instant gratification from something.
As well.
Also...
Yeah, and some things, the best things, take a long time. Wonderful. All right, so Alexandr Misko. Alex Misko. Fantastic, incredible fingerstyle guitarist. Go see him live if you have the opportunity. And
thank you so much, Anton. It means a lot.
It's our pleasure, 100%. Okay, so we're gonna enjoy a little bit more of Back and Forth. Thank you again, Alex. Until next one.
Likewise. Thank you.
tired of the typical libraries with conventional music that makes you feel meh? Introducing Leerecs.com, the music website made for and by minds like you. Our team are lifelong musicians and producers in love with music. Search the Leerecs music catalogs and find music with guaranteed originality. Mark the difference with music of signature at Leerecs.com.